whether what somebody is saying is authentic, authoritative, or not, is a very important question that has been asked now a lot of times, and I've finally decided to make a video about this. In today's information boom, in today's world of YouTube and internet, this is a pertinent question, a question that should be asked. And a lot of my youth, a lot of my young students have been asking me, sir, somebody's saying this, somebody's saying that. How do we come to a conclusion that whatever they're saying is authentic or not? Should we take it? Should we not take it? Should we leave it? If you're someone who's concerned about this question as well, join me for this short podcast. Before we dive into this, let me first tell you two very important things. Let me talk about two very important things very quickly. First of all, you don't need to concern yourself with something being authentic or not, or authoritative or not, about every Tom, Dick, and Harry. Anyone who's making a channel on YouTube, or everyone who's starting a blog and saying something, you don't need to concern yourself with whether they're authentic or not. Because most of the times, they're just voicing their opinions, and that's fine. That should be fine by anyone. This is what free speech is. This is what's called the basic human right of having an opinion and voicing an opinion. You don't agree with it, that's a separate matter. Don't agree with it, that's fine. If you agree with it, take it. So don't concern yourself and don't waste time on every Tom, Dick, and Harry that makes a YouTube channel and starts saying things. Number one. Number two, there is a term in academia made popular by William Hazlitt. Incidentally, he belongs to my academic field of literature and English. The term is ultracrepidarianism. Ultracrepidarianism is an ultracrepidarian is who speaks about a subject authoritatively in which he or she does not have an authority. This is what we are concerned with. So if somebody is speaking about something authoritatively, saying that this is be-all, end-all of all research, or anyone who has come before me has not understood this, I am the first one to understand this, I'm creating knowledge. And what I'm saying is the final word. Then you need to look at what they're saying, and there are some things that I'm going to talk about through which you can discern if what they're saying is authentic or not. This is a concept in academia, this is a code in academia, but you can apply it to even non-academic pulp writing as well. So let's dive right into this, and I'm going to explain this and try to keep this short and sweet. So how to discern authenticity? The key concept is peer review. Whenever something is published, whenever research is published, it should be, and it is, always peer reviewed. Peer review means your peers from your academic circle are going to review your work to discern its authenticity, to discern whether it's right or wrong, whether things that you're saying are based in sound arguments or not. For somebody to be able to peer review a journal article or a published dissertation, two things are required. Two things are prerequisite. There are two prerequisites for that. One, the one who is reviewing should at least be at the same academic level as the person whose written produce he or she is reviewing. So if somebody has written an article and he or she is a PhD, the one who is reviewing that article should at least be a PhD. Number two, they should have some publications, some international peer-reviewed publications under their belt prior to reviewing this research to produce. If they don't, then they are not qualified to review this publication. So that's peer review. Peer review includes these things. First of all, you look at the academic qualification of the one who's writing that thing or saying that thing. You need to know what the academic qualification of that person is. That is why I have a public website on which I mention my qualifications, my publications, and everything, what I have been involved in. This should really be public knowledge. This is information belonging to public domain. And I am especially stunned when somebody takes offense when they are asked, what is your academic qualification? And they say, none of your business. Well, it is my business, because you're saying some things about some things and you are appearing very authoritative. So at least tell me what your academic background is. Is your academic background in the given subject that you're talking about? Do you have an advanced degree, a university degree? Do you have international publications? Should I take you seriously? Because it will be based on your academic qualification that I'll take you seriously or I won't take you seriously. So if somebody is not academically qualified to talk about a subject, and if they are saying some things, then you should, right from the get-go, you should understand that what they're saying cannot be 100% authentic or authoritative. You can look at their arguments and see how they are formulating it, and then check the sources that they go back to. But if they don't have an academic qualification in a given subject, for example, let me give you an example. If somebody has not done his or her specialization in heart surgery, would you let them open your chest and take your heart out? You won't. It's as simple as that. So academic qualification is not only very important, it's also the base of all other things, of all other analyses that we are going to look at. So the first thing that the reviewer looks at is the academic qualification of the writer. The second thing is the literature review. Whenever you write a research paper or a dissertation or any kind of academic writing, the first thing that you do is you do a literature review. The literature that's already available on the subject, the literature that is already available in connection with what you're saying about that subject or about that thing. Unless you know that literature, you cannot proceed. Nobody is going to take you seriously if you don't know the literature that already exists about the given topic that you are talking about. And then it is not just literature report. There is something called a literature report. Literature report is when you simply list, okay, these are the books that have been written about this subject prior to my writing on this subject. No, a literature review is when you also critically analyze that canon, when you also critically analyze that literature which is already available on the subject, on the given topic that you are discussing. So that's the second thing, the literature review. The third thing is the methodology applied. You look at what methodology the author is applying in putting forward his or her thesis. So there are different methodologies, hermeneutic, scientific, whatever. Lots of methodologies in academia. So you need to know which methodology this person is applying. Then the fourth thing is the thesis. You look at the thesis and you first understand the thesis. فهم السؤال نصف الجواب. You need to understand what the author is saying. If you have misunderstood the thesis, then everything else doesn't really matter. So you try to understand what the author is proposing. Then what arguments he or she is bringing forth to support this thesis. And these arguments can be rivayatan, authoritative. These could be logical arguments. These could be references to other books. And then you need to go and check those references. When you check the arguments, if these are references to other books, you go, because lots of times, and it's not uncommon really, lots of times there are misquotations, misrepresentations, taking things out of context and quoting them, cherry picking and quoting them, cherry-picked quotes, what is known as cherry-picked quotes. So it's not uncommon, even among academia. And so you need to, if somebody is quoting a source, quoting from a source, one line or two lines or three lines, three sentences, you need to go back to the source that he or she is quoting from and then read the context and then know, okay, this guy is bringing this quotation in his or her support. Does this really mean what he is taking it to mean? That is the real question. And that is something that the reviewer looks at very thoroughly. And then the conclusion. Then the reviewer looks at the conclusion that has been drawn from the arguments, and then you try to understand whether these conclusions are logical. Do they follow? Do they not follow? Sometimes, and it's funny, but it's real, it's true. Sometimes you see students, especially in their formative years early on, concluding a research paper, and the conclusion doesn't follow at all from the arguments that they have given. Sometimes it's not relative even to the thesis that they're making, and it's a funny situation for the examiner or for the person involved with the student in that research project. So you need to look at that. And then lastly, you need to look at work cited and consulted. This is in MLA. If you are a student of humanities, especially literature, you're going to use the MLA methodology in writing the research paper. And they don't have a bibliography. They have works cited and works consulted. But in other words, this is the bibliography, the books that he or she has consulted. And when you look at the books, you understand, okay, what standard is this person coming from? What standard does he or she adhere to? So these are the things that a reviewer looks at when he or she does a peer review of a published book, a published dissertation, or a published research paper. This is what I'm proposing that you do when you want to discern the authenticity of something that has been said to you, or you find something on the internet, or you find something on YouTube. And some of these things are very easy. They don't require much time. For example, academic qualification. If somebody is hiding his or her academic qualification, well, somebody is anonymous, for example, or somebody is not telling you their degrees, this should be the first red flag for you. Then literature review. Somebody who's saying something, does he or she tells you that this has been said like this in literature that's already available, and why they don't agree with it? Are they doing critical analysis of what their predecessors, so to speak, what other researchers have said about the topic? That is the second thing you can look at. Then the methodology applied. Well, if you're not an academic and the person who's formulating a thesis is not an academic, this is a difficult thing to understand. But to easily understand this, let me just say, methodology is how they are critically analyzing something. If they are just taking out a sentence and then telling you what it means, taking out a sentence and telling you what it means, it's hermeneutics, right? And this methodology does not hold much authenticity. But the fourth, fifth, and sixth points here, thesis, argument, and conclusion, would tell you if they are applying the methodology correctly. So then you need to look at their thesis, what they're saying, the arguments that they present, of course, the references. Go check the references, see for yourself if what they're saying is correct or not. And it's not just about checking the book and the author, that if somebody is saying that I have taken this quotation from this book, and you go and check, okay, is this quotation in that book or not? It's not just about that. It's also about the context. Are they being honest about the meanings of that quotation? Are they honestly using it for their proposed thesis? Or are they being dishonest and they are misinterpreting it, taking it out of context? That is something you need to look at. And then the conclusion that they are drawing from all those arguments. You need to look at that. And lastly, the works cited and consulted. Which books are they referring to? So let's take an example, because this question has been asked especially in reference with two quite famous people on YouTube. One is Muhammad Sheikh, and the other is engineer Muhammad Ali Mirza. If we look at Muhammad Sheikh, we don't know his qualifications. We don't. So that's the first red flag. Number two, literature review. He's vaguely aware of other books, other exegeses that are available when he's talking about an ayah of the Quran and telling us about his own interpretation. But he does not formulate an argument as to why he disagrees with that literature. So that's the second red flag. The third is the methodology applied. And the methodology is take a verse and simply tell what it says according to him. No methodology really applied here. So what are his theses and the arguments that he gives for those theses that you can look at from his different videos, and his conclusion that also you can look at. There are hardly any works cited ever in any of the things that he says. So you can easily, through applying these 6 points to whatever he's saying, you can easily discern that, not really, he's not very authoritative in the matter. About Muhammad Ali Mirza, academic qualification, we know his academic qualification, he's an engineer. So first of all, the subject that he's talking about, he's not qualified to talk about that subject. So he's formulating his own opinions. Fine, we'll take them, no problem. Like I said, we're not elitists. Literature review, he often does literature review, but again, lacks many a times the critical analysis into that literature already available on a given subject. The methodology applied, his methodology is often of cross-referencing things and then going back to the source of the Quran and the Sunnah, which is all fine and good. His theses, arguments, conclusions will be based on his certain videos. And then works cited, he often lists works cited and consulted. So yeah, there is a degree of authenticity in what engineer Muhammad Ali Mirza says. But you'll have to look at what he's saying individually each time. So there may be things about which he cannot be that authoritative, that he's not very authentic about, because he's hardly aware of literature available on the subject, or his arguments, the conclusion that is drawn from his arguments on the thesis is faulty. That conclusion is not really a natural conclusion, a logical conclusion from the arguments that he gives on a given topic, on a particular topic. So, but generally speaking, I think what engineer Ali Mirza says we should look at seriously. And he's an honest guy. He speaks honestly from his heart. And some of the things that he says are correct, because when you go back to references, he is not taking those things out of the context. He's not misrepresenting them. He's not misinterpreting them. And so, yeah, that's all fine and good. So anyways, this was a short video. If you want a detailed video about this, in which I talk at length about each of these points, then please hit me in the comments, and I'll definitely try and do that. Till then, take care of yourselves and everyone around you. And wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.